The air inside Nexus Station felt thick with secrets. Captain Hyunwoo Kim walked through the busy marketplace, his worn boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. Around him, dozens of alien species traded goods and information. The tall, blue-skinned Kethmori stood next to short, furry Velnathi. Flying Zilphon buzzed overhead while the rock-like Gorthak stomped past carrying heavy cargo. Hyunwoo stopped at a food stand run by a friendly Nixtherian. The creature's silver skin glowed softly as it served him a cup of bitter coffee. As he drank, he heard two Kethmori talking in low voices nearby. The readings came from the deep zone, one said. Our sensors barely picked it up before the storms blocked everything. Impossible, the other replied. Nothing survives in that place. The energy storms would tear apart any ship. Hyunwoo pretended not to listen, but his ears stayed focused on their words. The Forbidden Zone was a place all spacefaring races avoided. It was a region of twisted space where gravity went crazy and energy storms could destroy entire fleets. No one had been inside for thousands of years. This was different, the first Kethmori continued. The signature was huge, bigger than a battlecruiser, and it was moving through the worst parts like the storms were nothing. Hyunwoo finished his coffee and walked away, but his mind stayed on what he heard. He made his way back to his ship, the Busan's Pride. It was an old human freighter, nothing special compared to the sleek alien vessels docked nearby, but it was his home, and had served him well for 15 years. Inside the ship, he found his engineer Jamin Park fixing something in the engine room. Jamin was his oldest friend, and they had grown up together on Earth before taking to the stars. Sweat covered his face as he worked with a plasma torch. Heard anything interesting on the station? Hyunwoo asked. Jamin looked up and wiped, his hands on a dirty cloth. Lots of talk about something in the Forbidden Zone. The information brokers are going crazy. Someone is paying huge amounts of money for any data about unknown contacts in that area. Before Hyunwoo could respond, their communications officer So-Young Lee called over the ship's speaker system. Captain, you need to come to the bridge. We have a visitor. Hyunwoo climbed up to the small bridge where So-Young sat at her station. She was young but very smart with languages. She could speak to almost any alien species they met. Through the main window, he saw a tall Kethmori, in expensive robes waiting outside their airlock. He says his name is Ambassador Velthar, So-Young said. He wants to speak with you privately about something important. Hyunwoo nodded and went to meet the alien. Velthar was old, with deep lines around his large eyes. His blue skin had the pale color that came with age, and he moved carefully as he entered the ship. Captain Kim, Velthar said in perfect English. Thank you for seeing me. I have a proposal that might interest you. They sat in the ship's small meeting room. Velthar placed a datapad on the table and activated a holographic display. It showed a map of local space with the Forbidden Zone, marked in red. 3 days ago, our long-range sensors detected something impossible. Velthar began. A massive artificial signature moving through the zone's most dangerous sector. The energy readings match no known technology in our databases. The hologram zoomed in on a specific area deep inside the red zone. Hyunwoo could see swirling patterns that showed the chaotic energy storms that made the region so deadly. Our scientists analyzed the data. Velthar continued. The signature suggests a vessel over 2 kilometers long. But here is the strange part here. Preliminary analysis indicates the energy patterns might be of human origin. Hyunwoo felt his heart speed up. That's impossible. Humans have only been in space for 200 years. We don't have technology that could survive in there. That is what makes this so interesting, Velthar said. Either our analysis is wrong or there is something about human technology we do not understand. The ambassador leaned forward. I represent a group of species that want to investigate this mystery. We are willing to pay well for human assistance. Your people might have insights we lack. Hyunwoo studied the holographic display. The readings did look strange, unlike anything he had seen before. Why come to me? There are human military ships. That would be better for this kind of mission. Because this must be kept secret, Velthar replied. If word spreads that someone has technology capable of operating in the Forbidden Zone, it could cause panic. Some species might try to claim this technology for themselves, others might see it as a threat. So Young's voice came over the speaker again. "Captain, I'm picking up encrypted communications on several channels. Multiple alien fleets are moving toward the outer edge of the Forbidden Zone." Velthar's expression became worried. "It seems the secret is already spreading. We may not have much time before this becomes a military situation." Yun-Woo made a decision that would change everything. "Jaemin, how long would it take to prepare the ship for a long journey?" Jaemin's voice came back quickly. "Give me 6 hours to check all systems and load extra supplies. Where are we going?" "To find out if the rumors are true," Hyun-Woo replied. "Prepare the ship for travel to the Forbidden Zone." Velthar looked surprised. "Captain, I should warn you that many ships have been lost attempting to enter that region. The gravitational anomalies alone can crush a vessel, and the energy storms can overload any known shielding system." "Then we'll be careful," Hyun-Woo said. "But if there really is a human ship operating in there, we need to find out how and why." As Velthar left to make his own preparations, Hyun-Woo called his crew together. So Young and Jaemin gathered in the meeting room, looking concerned but ready. "I won't lie to you," Hyun-Woo said. "This mission is dangerous. The Forbidden Zone has killed more ships than any war. But if there are humans out there who need help, we have to try to reach them." So Young nodded. "I've been monitoring communications all day. Whatever is happening, it's big. Species that haven't talked to each other in decades are suddenly sharing information." Jaemin checked his data pad. "I've been looking at our ship's specifications. Our human technology might actually have some advantages in high-energy environments. Our power systems are more adaptable than most alien designs." "Good," Hyun-Woo said. "Get some rest. Tomorrow we head into space that no human has ever returned from." As his crew prepared, Hyun-Woo stood on the bridge looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there beyond the deadly storms and twisted space of the Forbidden Zone, answers waited. Whether those answers would save lives or start a war remained to be seen. The Busan's pride might be just an old freighter, but it was about to carry them into the greatest mystery the galaxy had ever known. The journey to the Forbidden Zone took 3 days. During that time, Hyun-Woo watched as other ships joined their small group. Ambassador Velthar had gathered vessels from 6 different species, all curious about the mysterious readings. The most impressive was a sleek Nixtherian scout ship commanded by Commander Talves, whose silver hull gleamed like liquid metal. On their second day of travel, they picked up an unexpected passenger. Dr. Min-Ho Choi was a human xenoarchaeologist who had been studying ancient ruins on a nearby world. When he heard about their mission, he requested transport to join the expedition. "The Forbidden Zone wasn't always forbidden," Dr. Min-Ho explained as they gathered in the meeting room. He was a thin man with gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too many mysteries. 50,000 years ago, it was the heart of the predecessor civilization. They were the most advanced species the galaxy had ever known. So Young looked up from her data pad. "What happened to them?" "Nobody knows for sure," Dr. Min-Ho replied. "All we know is that something catastrophic occurred. The entire region became unstable overnight. Every predecessor world went silent. The few alien species that existed back then declared the area too dangerous to enter." Jaemin frowned. "And it stayed that way for 50,000 years? The energy storms actually seem to be getting stronger over time," Dr. Min-Ho said. "Most scientists believe the instability is spreading slowly outward. In another million years, it might threaten inhabited systems." As they approached the zone's outer edge, space itself began to look different. The stars seemed to bend and twist, and strange colors danced between them. Hyun-Woo felt his stomach turn as their ships' gravity systems struggled to compensate for the changing forces outside. "All ships, this is Commander Talves," came a voice over the communication system. "We are entering the outer boundary. Maintain close formation and be ready to retreat if necessary." The Nixtherian ship led the way, its advanced sensors scanning for safe passages through the growing distortions. Behind it came a Keth Mori research vessel, a Zilfan exploration craft, and two smaller ships from species Hyunwoo didn't recognize. The Busan's Pride brought up the rear, looking small and fragile compared to the sleek alien vessels. Within an hour, the first ship was in trouble. The Zilfon craft suddenly lost power as its engines overloaded from the strange energy fields. Emergency lights flickered across its hull as it began to drift helplessly toward a gravity well that shouldn't exist. "This is impossible," Jaemin said, watching the readings on his engineering console. "Their technology is hundreds of years ahead of ours. How are they failing when we're still running normally?" Hyunwoo didn't have an answer, but he noticed something strange. While the alien ship struggled with power fluctuations and system failures, the Busan's Pride seemed almost comfortable in the chaotic environment. Their old human engines actually ran smoother than usual. "Captain," So-young called out, "I'm picking up a transmission. It's very faint, but it's definitely artificial." "What frequency?" Hyunwoo asked. "That's the weird part," So-young replied. "It's using an old Korean military communication band, the kind they used before we made contact with alien civilizations." Commander Talves's ship suddenly lurched to one side as a gravity wave hit it. The elegant vessel, designed for speed and grace, tumbled out of control toward a cluster of energy storms. Its hull began to glow as dangerous radiation levels spiked around it. "All ships, we are experiencing critical system failures," Talves transmitted. "Our engines cannot compensate for the gravitational distortions. We are falling into an unstable region." Most of the other alien ships were already retreating, their captains deciding the mission was too dangerous. But Hyunwoo made a different choice. He turned to Jaemin and said, "Can we reach them?" "Our ship is handling these conditions better than it should," Jaemin replied. "I think we can make it, but I don't understand why we're not having the same problems they are." "Then let's find out," Hyunwoo said. "Plot a course to intercept the Nixtherian ship." The Busan's Pride dove deeper into the chaotic region, threading between gravity wells and energy storms that would have torn apart most vessels. Somehow, their human-built ship rode the distortions like a boat on rough water, bending with the forces instead of fighting them. They reached Commander Talves's ship just as its hull began to crack under the pressure. Using magnetic grapples, they locked onto the damaged vessel and began pulling it away from the worst of the gravitational distortions. "How is this possible?" Talves asked over the communication link. "Your technology is primitive compared to ours. You should not be able to operate in these conditions." "Maybe that's exactly why we can," Dr. Minho said quietly. "Advanced technology might be too rigid for this environment. Human engineering has always been about making things work even when they shouldn't." As they towed the Nixtherian ship to safety, So-young managed to clean up the faint transmission she had detected earlier. The signal became clearer, and what they heard made everyone freeze. "This is Deep Survey Station Alpha," the voice said in Korean, "broadcasting emergency beacon on all frequencies. Any human vessels receiving this message proceed to coordinates 847.3 by 92.7 by 15.8. Repeat, human vessels only. Others will not survive the approach." "That's impossible," Hyunwoo whispered. "There are no human stations out here. We've never sent ships this far from Earth." Dr. Minho stared at the communications console. Unless someone did and never told anyone about it. Their conversation was interrupted by new contacts appearing on their sensors. 3 large ships were approaching fast from the direction they had come. The vessels were dark and angular, built for war rather than exploration. Gorthak military ships, So-young identified. They're broadcasting on multiple frequencies, demanding that all vessels leave the area immediately. Commander Talves, his ship now stable but damaged, transmitted to the approaching warships. "This is a peaceful scientific expedition. We claim right of passage under galactic law." The response came back harsh and final. "By order of Captain Rokhtar, this region is now under military quarantine. Any vessel that does not retreat will be destroyed. You have 10 minutes to comply." Hyunwoo looked at his crew. The mysterious transmission was still broadcasting its coordinates, somewhere deeper in the forbidden zone where the energy storms grew even stronger. Behind them, Gorthak warships prepared to eliminate anyone who had seen too much. "Captain," Jaemin said quietly, Our ship seems to be immune to whatever is affecting the alien vessels. If there really are humans out there, we might be the only ones who can reach them. So Young nodded. The transmission is getting stronger as we go deeper. Whatever is broadcasting it has serious power behind it. Dr. Minho studied his data on the predecessor civilization. If humans have somehow found predecessor technology and learned to use it, they could have capabilities beyond anything the galaxy has seen for 50,000 years. The Gorthak ships were getting closer, their weapons charging for battle. Commander Talves was trying to negotiate, but Captain Rocktar seemed determined to eliminate all witnesses to whatever lay hidden in the zone. Yunwu made another decision that would change their fate. Jamin, plot a course to those coordinates. Maximum speed. What about the Gorthak ships? So Young asked. They can't follow us where we're going, Yunwu replied. Their ships will fail in the deep storms just like all the others. But somehow I think ours won't. The Busan's Pride turned away from the approaching warships and dove deeper into the Forbidden Zone. Behind them, energy storms closed like a curtain, hiding them from pursuit. Ahead lay answers to questions that could reshape the entire galaxy's understanding of human capabilities. As they penetrated further into the chaotic region, the mysterious transmission grew stronger. Someone was out there, waiting in the heart of the maelstrom. Whether they were friends or enemies remained to be seen. The deeper they traveled into the Forbidden Zone, the more impossible things became. Space itself seemed to flow like water around their ship. Stars appeared in the wrong places, and sometimes Hyunwoo could swear he saw two moons where there should be none. But the Busan's Pride continued forward, riding the chaos as if it belonged there. Captain, you need to see this, So Young called from her station. Her voice carried a mixture of excitement and fear. Hyunwoo moved to look at her sensor display. What he saw made his breath catch in his throat. Ahead of them, barely visible through the swirling energy storms, was a massive artificial structure. It was clearly a ship, but unlike anything in the databases of any known species. The vessel was enormous, at least 3 kilometers long and half a kilometer wide. Its hull was dark metal that seemed to absorb light, and strange patterns glowed along its surface. Most shocking of all, it was moving through the worst part of the energy storms as if they were nothing more than gentle wind. The energy signature is definitely human, Jamin reported from his engineering station. But the power levels are off the charts. This thing is generating more energy than an entire planet. Dr. Minho studied the readings with growing amazement. The design incorporates elements I've seen in predecessor ruins, but it's not just copied technology. Someone has improved on it. As they watched, the massive ship began to turn toward them. Hyunwoo felt a moment of panic, wondering if they had made a terrible mistake. Then So Young's communications console came alive. Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Sung Ho Han of the Korean Space Force vessel Indomitable Soul. Please identify yourself and state your purpose in this region. Hyunwoo stared at the speaker. The Korean Space Force had been disbanded 50 years ago when Earth joined the Galactic Council and integrated their military with alien forces. How could there be a Korean admiral out here? This is Captain Hyunwoo, Kim of the freighter Busan's Pride, he responded. We received your emergency beacon and came to investigate. There was a long pause. Then the voice came back, sounding surprised. Captain Kim, you are the first human vessel to reach this region in 20 years. How did you navigate the storms? Honestly, Admiral, we're not sure. Our ship seems to handle these conditions better than alien technology. Interesting. Captain, I'm sending docking coordinates. We have much to discuss and not much time. Be aware that you are being followed by hostile forces. The massive ship, the Indomitable Soul, opened a bay door that could have held a dozen ships the size of the Busan's Pride. As they approached, Hyunwoo noticed that the energy storm seemed to actually avoid the larger vessel, as if it was protected by some invisible force. Inside the docking bay, they were met by a squad of humans in military uniforms that Hyunwoo didn't recognize. The soldiers were professional but friendly, escorting them through corridors that seemed to stretch forever. The technology around them was clearly human in design, but far advanced beyond anything Earth had produced. Admiral Sung Ho Han was waiting in a conference room that overlooked the ship's main engineering section. He was a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes, wearing a uniform that combined elements of old Korean military dress with completely new insignia. Behind him stood a woman in similar dress. "Captain Kim, welcome aboard," the admiral said. "This is Commander Yoo-jin Kwan, my strategic operations officer. I apologize for the secrecy, but circumstances have forced us to remain hidden." "Hidden from what?" Hyun-woo asked. "Admiral, according to our records, you should be over 90 years old. The Korean Space Force was disbanded decades ago." Admiral Han smiled sadly. "Time moves differently in the zone, Captain. And yes, I'm older than I look. As for the Korean Space Force," he gestured to the advanced technology around them, "we never disbanded. We just went underground." Commander Yoo-jin activated a holographic display that showed the history of the secret mission. 50 years ago, a joint Korean-Chinese expedition discovered predecessor ruins on the edge of this region. Instead of reporting the find to the Galactic Council, our governments decided to study the technology in secret. The display showed images of ancient alien structures and artifacts that defied understanding. Dr. Min-ho leaned forward with intense interest as the presentation continued. "We established a hidden colony deep in the Forbidden Zone," Admiral Han explained. "The energy storms provided perfect cover for our activities. Over 5 decades, we learned to adapt and improve predecessor technology." A new figure entered the room, an elderly man in engineering clothes whose hands showed the wear of decades working with advanced machinery. "This is Chief Engineer Dal-Soo Yoon," the Admiral introduced. "He's been with us since the beginning." Dal-Soo nodded to the visitors. "Captain, your ship handled the journey here because human technology is more flexible than alien designs. We've learned that predecessor devices respond better to adaptive systems rather than rigid programming." "But why stay hidden?" So Young asked. "This technology could help everyone in the galaxy." Commander Yoo-jin's expression became serious. "Because we discovered something the predecessors left behind. Something that explains why they abandoned this region." The holographic display changed to show deep space sensor readings. What Hyun-woo saw made his blood run cold. Massive energy signatures were moving at the edge of the galaxy, heading toward inhabited space. "The predecessors didn't die out," Admiral Han explained. "They were running from something. We call them the Devourers, entities that consume entire star systems and convert matter into more of themselves." Dr. Min-ho studied the readings with growing horror. "A cyclic extinction event. That's why all the advanced civilizations in this region disappeared. How long do we have?" "Based on their current speed, 6 months, Commander Yoo-jin replied. "Maybe less." Chief Engineer Dal-Soo activated another display showing the indomitable soul's capabilities. "We've spent 50 years preparing for their return. Our ships can manipulate space-time itself, turning the zone's chaotic energies into weapons and shields. But we can't face them alone," Admiral Han admitted. "We need the combined fleets of all galactic species, equipped with adapted predecessor technology." Their discussion was interrupted by alarms throughout the ship. So Young checked her portable communicator and looked up with concern. "Captain, the Gorthak ships have somehow followed us into the zone. They're approaching our position." Through the conference room's windows, they could see the dark shapes of Captain Rocktar's warships emerging from the energy storms. The alien vessels were clearly struggling with the chaotic environment, but they were still armed and dangerous. "They're targeting our ship," Commander Yoo-jin reported. "Captain Rocktar is demanding we surrender and prepare to be boarded." Admiral Han stood and moved to a communication console. "Captain Rocktar, this is Admiral Han of the Korean Space Force. You are in violation of territorial waters. Withdraw immediately." Rocktar's harsh voice came back over the speakers. "There is no Korean Space Force. Surrender your vessel and prepare to be destroyed." "Admiral," Chief Engineer Dal-Soo said quietly, "we've managed to stay hidden for 50 years. If we reveal our capabilities now, then the secret is out," Admiral Han replied. "But these people risked their lives to reach us. We can't let them be destroyed." He turned to another console and began entering commands. All hands. This is the Admiral. Prepare for combat operations, activate defense grid, and scramble escort fighters. Through the windows, Hyunwoo watched in amazement as the space around the indomitable soul came alive. Energy barriers appeared out of nowhere, deflecting the Gorthok weapons fire. Smaller ships launched from hidden bays throughout the massive vessel, moving through the energy storms with impossible grace. "Captain Kim," Admiral Han said, "I'm afraid your quiet investigation has just become something much larger. The question now is whether the galaxy is ready to learn the truth about what humanity has become." The battle outside was brief, but decisive. The human ships used the energy storms themselves as weapons, channeling chaotic forces through their hulls and redirecting them at the attacking vessels. Captain Rocktar's ships found themselves fighting not just the humans, but the very fabric of space itself. As the defeated Gorthok vessels retreated, Admiral Han turned back to his guests. "Well, Captain, it seems we can no longer hide. The galaxy is about to discover that humanity has been preparing for a war they don't even know is coming." The indomitable soul and its escort vessels began moving deeper into the zone, where even greater secrets waited. Behind them, the defeated aliens carried word back to the galaxy that everything they thought they knew about human capabilities was wrong. The journey to the hidden human base took 6 hours through the deepest parts of the Forbidden Zone. Hyunwoo watched in amazement as more ships joined their escort. Vessels emerged from what looked like empty space, their hulls seeming to bend, light around them. By the time they reached their destination, the indomitable soul was surrounded by an entire fleet. "Welcome to New Sol Station," Admiral Han said as they approached a massive structure hidden inside an artificial asteroid, home to 50,000 humans and the most advanced technology in the galaxy. The station was enormous, built into a hollowed-out asteroid that provided natural protection from the energy storms. Docking bays lined its surface, and Hyunwoo could see hundreds of ships of various sizes. Some looked like traditional human designs, while others incorporated the strange flowing lines of predecessor technology. As they disembarked, they were met by another officer, a stern woman with the bearing of a career soldier. "This is General Hoi-Rin Nam," Admiral Han introduced. "She commands our ground forces and serves as my second in command." General Nam escorted them through the station, which was unlike anything Hyunwoo had ever seen. The corridors were wide and clean, with walls that seemed to glow with their own inner light. Humans moved through the passages with purpose, many wearing uniforms he didn't recognize. Children played in gardens where impossible plants grew under artificial suns. "We've built an entire civilization here," General Nam explained. "Families, schools, research centers, manufacturing facilities, everything needed to prepare for what's coming." They passed through a section where scientists worked on devices that seemed to defy the laws of physics. One team was manipulating gravity itself, making heavy objects float like feathers. Another group worked with energy that changed color and form as they watched. "How is this possible?" Dr. Minho asked, staring at the technology around them. "Some of these principles shouldn't work according to everything we know about science." A new voice answered him. "That's because we've learned that what we thought we knew was incomplete." They turned to see an elderly man in scientist robes approaching. "Professor Changmin An," Admiral Han introduced. "Our chief historian and predecessor technology specialist." Professor Changmin led them to a vast chamber filled with ancient artifacts and holographic displays. The predecessors weren't just advanced, he explained. They understood reality itself differently than we do. They saw that space, time, and energy are all connected in ways most species never discover. The holographic displays showed the history of the predecessor civilization. They had ruled the galaxy for millions of years, building wonders that seemed like magic. But their greatest achievement was also their downfall. They had learned to manipulate the fundamental forces of reality. "The devourers are what happens when that manipulation goes wrong," Professor Changmin continued. "They're not aliens in the traditional sense. They're reality itself, twisted into something that consumes everything it touches." Commander Yujin activated another display showing current sensor readings. "Our scouts have been tracking their approach for 20 years. They move through space by consuming it, leaving nothing behind. Entire star systems simply vanish. The predecessors tried to fight them, General Nam added. But their rigid technology couldn't adapt fast enough. That's why human flexibility gives us an advantage. We can change our approach as the situation demands. Admiral Han led them to an observation deck that looked out into space. Through the energy storms, they could see other structures, shipyards, research stations, and defensive platforms. We've built all of this in secret, preparing for a war the galaxy doesn't know is coming. A new officer approached, a young man with pilot's wings on his uniform. This is Navigator In-Soo Kim, Admiral Han said. One of our best pilots. He'll show you how our ships operate in this environment. Navigator In-Soo led them to a smaller vessel called the New Busan. It looked similar to human ships, but with subtle differences that made it seem almost alive. The key is working with the chaos instead of fighting it, he explained as they took their seats. The ship launched from the station and immediately dove into a region where energy storms raged, with incredible violence, but instead of being torn apart, the New Busan rode the chaotic forces like a surfer on a wave. The pilot used the ship's controls to guide them through patterns of energy that would have destroyed any conventional vessel. We've learned to see the storms as an ocean, Navigator In-Soo explained. There are currents and tides that you can follow if you know how to read them. Alien ships try to power through with brute force. We flow with the natural patterns. They flew past construction sites where humans were building defensive platforms and weapon systems. The technology combined human engineering with predecessor science, creating devices that seem to bend reality around them. Each platform can control the space around it for thousands of kilometers, Navigator In-Soo said. When the Devourers arrive, they'll find that this region of space doesn't follow the rules they expect. Back at the station, they gathered in a war room where the full scope of humanity's preparations became clear. Holographic displays showed defensive networks, ship deployments, and strategic plans that had been developing for decades. We've identified 17 critical points where the Devourers will likely attack, General Nam explained. Our fleets are positioned to channel them into areas where our technology gives us the greatest advantage. Professor Chang Mian activated a display showing the enemy forces. The Devourers aren't just ships or creatures, they're more like a virus that infects reality itself. Traditional weapons pass right through them. You have to fight them with modified space-time. Admiral Han turned to address Hyunwoo and his crew directly. Captain, your arrival here changes everything. We've been preparing in secret for 50 years, but we always knew we couldn't face this threat alone. We need the combined fleets of every spacefaring species. But will they believe us? So Young asked. And will they accept human leadership in this fight? Commander Yu Jin smiled grimly. They'll have to. Our technology is the only thing that can hurt the Devourers. But we need their numbers and resources to have any chance of victory. The discussion was interrupted by urgent alarms throughout the station. A communications officer rushed into the war room with a message pad. Admiral, we're receiving multiple transmissions from the galaxy's edge, the officer reported. Long-range sensors confirm massive energy signatures approaching at incredible speed. Professor Changmin studied the new readings, and his face went pale. They're moving faster than we calculated. Much faster. How long do we have? Admiral, Han asked. 6 weeks, maybe 8, Professor Changmin replied. The Devourers have accelerated their approach. They'll reach inhabited systems before we finish our preparations. General Nam moved to the tactical displays. All our defensive networks are only 60% complete. Our ship construction is behind schedule. We need more time. Admiral Han looked out at the hidden fleet surrounding their station. 50 years of preparation, and it might not be enough. The fate of every living being in the galaxy now depended on convincing alien species to trust humans they had always seen as technologically inferior. Signal all fleet commanders, Admiral Han ordered. Prepare for full deployment. It's time to reveal ourselves to the galaxy. He turned back to Hyunwoo. Captain, I'm assigning you as our liaison to the Galactic Council. Your ship will carry word of what's coming and what needs to be done. The question is whether they'll listen to you. As preparation for the greatest battle in galactic history began, Hyunwoo realized that his simple freight run had become a mission to save every living thing in the galaxy. Success would require convincing dozens of alien species to trust human technology and human leadership in the face of an enemy beyond their understanding. The hidden fleet began moving toward the galaxy's inhabited regions, carrying secrets that would change everything. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike anything in recorded history. Representatives from 47 species gathered at the neutral station of Concordia Prime, their faces showing confusion, fear, and disbelief. The reason for their assembly floated outside the station's windows, a fleet of human ships unlike anything they had ever seen. Fleet Admiral Do-hyun Seo stood at the center of the Great Chamber, his uniform bearing insignia that most delegates didn't recognize. Behind him, holographic displays showed sensor readings that challenged everything the galaxy thought it knew about human capabilities. Honored delegates, Admiral Seo began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's translation systems. I am Fleet Admiral Do-hyun Seo of the United Human Defense Force. For 50 years, my people have been preparing for a threat that will arrive in this galaxy within weeks. Ambassador Velthar, the Kethmori diplomat who had first approached Hyunwoo, leaned forward in his seat. Admiral, our records show no United Human Defense Force. How do you explain the existence of technology that surpasses our most advanced designs? The holographic displays changed to show the history of the secret human project. Images of predecessor ruins, hidden bases, and decades of technological development filled the chamber. Many delegates shifted uncomfortably as they realized how thoroughly they had underestimated human capabilities. We discovered predecessor technology and chose to study it in secret, Admiral Seo explained, not to gain advantage over other species, but to prepare for the return of what destroyed the predecessors themselves. Dr. Mi-young Jang, the fleet's leading expert on devourer technology, stepped forward to present her analysis. She was a small woman with intense eyes who spoke with the authority of someone who had studied the enemy for decades. The devourers are not a species in any sense we understand, Dr. Mi-young explained as new images appeared in the hologram. They are reality itself, corrupted and turned hostile. They consume matter, energy, space, and time, converting everything into more of themselves. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs as the delegates saw recordings of devourer attacks from predecessor databases. Entire star systems simply vanished, leaving behind regions of twisted space where the laws of physics no longer applied. Supreme Admiral Kai-jin Song, the overall commander of humanity's hidden forces, entered the chamber, accompanied by a woman in diplomatic robes. This is Ambassador Sun-hee Park, he announced. She will coordinate the defense efforts between all species. Ambassador Sun-hee had spent years preparing for this moment, studying alien cultures and political systems. Honored delegates, we face a choice that will determine whether any of us survive the next year. We can work together, or we can all perish separately. The Gorthak representative, a massive warrior named General Thokran, slammed his fist on his desk. Why should we trust humans who have hidden their true capabilities for decades? How do we know this isn't an elaborate deception to gain control over our fleets? Admiral Seo activated a new display showing real-time sensor readings from the Ori galaxy's edge. Because they're already here. The chamber fell silent as they saw the massive energy signatures moving through space toward inhabited systems. The Devourers had arrived ahead of schedule, and their presence was already distorting space-time across entire sectors. Captain Woo-jin Lee, commander of humanity's most advanced vessel, transmitted from his ship the New Incheon. Delegates, I'm sending tactical data from our encounter with Devourer scouts. Our conventional weapons had no effect. Only ships equipped with predecessor-derived technology can even touch them. The holographic display showed the battle in devastating detail. Traditional alien weapons passed through the Devourer entities as if they weren't there. Energy shields and armor provided no protection against attacks that consumed the very space they occupied. Only the human ships with their reality-manipulating technology could fight back effectively. We're willing to share our technology, Ambassador Sun-hee announced. But the modifications required will take time. We need to begin immediately if we want to save as many worlds as possible. The Nyx Therian delegate, Commander Talves, spoke from his seat. I've seen these human ships operate in conditions that destroyed our most advanced vessels. Their technology is real and it works. But can they really outfit our entire combined fleet in just weeks? Chief Engineer Dal Su-yoon, now serving as the project's technical director, answered from his position near the displays. We've been preparing modular upgrades for 50 years. Every major ship class in the galaxy can be fitted with basic defensive systems within days. Offensive capabilities will take longer, but we can give your fleets a fighting chance. The debate that followed was intense and often heated. Some species wanted guarantees of technological sharing that went beyond the immediate crisis. Others demanded equal command authority in the combined fleet. A few suggested that humanity's secrecy made them untrustworthy partners. Dr. Mi Young presented the decisive argument. Long-range sensors show the main devourer force will reach the core worlds in 37 days. We can debate politics after we ensure there are survivors to have those debates. The vote, when it finally came, was closer than anyone had hoped. 26 species voted to accept human technological assistance and fleet coordination. 15 voted against, preferring to rely on their own defenses. 6 abstained, wanting to see how the first battles developed before committing their forces. As the session ended, Admiral Seo addressed the assembled delegates one final time. To those who choose to fight alongside us, welcome to the greatest challenge any of our species have ever faced. To those who choose to stand alone, we respect your decision and will defend your worlds as best we can. The next weeks passed in frantic preparation. Human engineering teams spread across the galaxy, installing predecessor-derived technology on alien vessels. The process was not perfect. Some systems were incompatible, and several ships were lost during testing. But gradually, a combined fleet took shape unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Hyunwoo found himself commanding a modified version of his old freighter, now equipped with technology that could manipulate space-time itself. The Busan's pride had become the Busan's triumph, bristling with weapons that fired reality distortions instead of conventional energy. The first major battle came sooner than expected. A Devourer vanguard reached the outer colonies 3 days ahead of schedule, striking the Kepler 442 system, where Hyunwoo had first heard the rumors that started everything. Captain Woo Jin led the defense with a mixed fleet of human and alien vessels. The battle was unlike anything in recorded history. Ships fired weapons that twisted space itself, turning vacuum into barriers and redirecting gravity like water. The Devourers found themselves fighting enemies who could change the rules of reality around them. They're adapting faster than we expected, Captain Woo Jin reported as the battle raged. But they're still bound by their original nature. They can't exist in space that's been fundamentally altered. The victory at Kepler 442 was narrow but decisive. For the first time in galactic history, the Devourers had been stopped and driven back. The cost was heavy, 12 ships lost and 3 planets evacuated, but it proved that humanity's strategy could work. News of the victory spread across the galaxy within hours. 6 more species requested immediate technological upgrades for their fleets. 3 others offered resources and manufacturing capability to speed up the preparation process. As the main Devourer force approached the galaxy's heart, humanity revealed the full scope of their preparations. Hidden shipyards activated across dozens of systems, producing vessels designed specifically for reality warfare. Space stations that had masqueraded as asteroids revealed themselves as fortress platforms capable of reshaping local spacetime. The final revelation came when So Young, now serving as communications coordinator for the combined fleet, broadcast a message to Earth and all human colonies. "The time for hiding is over," she announced. "Humanity must step forward to defend the galaxy we've secretly been protecting all along." The response from human worlds was immediate and overwhelming. Military reserves that had trained in secret for decades revealed themselves. Industrial capacity that had been hidden behind civilian facades began producing warships and defense platforms. The human species, which the galaxy had seen as junior partners, revealed themselves as its most advanced protectors. Admiral Seo stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as the largest fleet in galactic history assembled around him. Human. Ships worked alongside vessels from dozens of alien species, all equipped with technology that could fight an enemy beyond normal understanding. All ships, this is Admiral CO. He broadcast to the combined fleet. Today we fight not as separate species, but as defenders of life itself. Whatever the cost, we will ensure that consciousness survives in this galaxy. The main devourer force was visible now, a darkness that consumed light itself as it approached the core worlds. But waiting for it was something the entities had never faced before, a unified galaxy equipped with weapons that could strike at the very foundation of reality. The greatest battle in the history of the universe was about to begin, and humanity would lead the charge to save everything that lived. And